That's the sort of changes.
So from what I understand is public policy is basically helping the government take some policy decisions for the growth of the nation, right? Like all the examples that you gave. So anyone who graduates from this institute would be like helping the government take some policy decision. Is that correct way to understand?
Yes. So maybe when we talk about where some of our students have gone, you'll get a flavor for the different roles.
Yeah.
Because the roles are in all three in Samaj, Sarkar, Bazaar. So it's not just only in the government. So we've traditionally looked at public policy being the domain of people in the government. In fact, even in the IS, what they're taught is actually public administration. It's the Indian Administrative Service. It's not public policy. Even a lot of the public, some of the schools which talk about public administration, really they talk about public administration, not public policy. So let's look at where some of our students have done or are going. So there's one guy called Umesh Jadhav. Umesh grew up in a small town. His father, I think, passed away when he was young, had a bad car accident, and he went to a government-run boarding school in Nanded. Then went to study, went to college in Pune, and became a software engineer, and worked in an IT company in Pune, and just realized that that's not what he wanted. So here's a kid who didn't have a lot, getting to work in the private sector, decides, okay, I don't want to be in this. And he went to Gadchiroli and worked for a non-profit called Search, run by the Bungs. And then he sort of, ended up at ISPP. And at ISPP, because of his tech background, etc., he before that, he also did, he worked with the Maharashtra government on the village transformation program. After ISPP, he joined something which the University of Chicago runs in India, where I'm a trustee of, is the International Innovation Co. And he then was attached to the UP government, working on the whole digitization for healthcare. And now he has moved to Hyderabad and working for SEGIS, which is looking at some other sort of aspects about it. So that's the where Umesh is involved with. So he's on the outside working with the government as a consultant and looking at building on his skills of technology and improving government technology systems over there. Similarly, there's a lady called Prachi who is interested in emerging technologies on the quantum side. She's again studied computer science, if I remember correctly, in Rajasthan. And she then became a Young Tech Leaders Fellow. It's a program we ran again at Chicago together with Omidyar Network. And she was attached to ORF, Observer Research Foundation, and working very closely with the government on all the quantum stuff that they're doing. And she then is now actually heading off to a master's program at Georgetown. So that's where she's been involved with. We have another sort of alum of ours, Pankuri, who, I love her story. She was, like me, the lowest paid person in a graduating class. So she said she had no work experience. She said that she wanted to work in PRS and work as an assistant to a member of parliament. And that's what she did. She worked at PRS as a LAMP fellow, and worked with this guy who was a member of parliament from Shillong, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, Shillong. And she then, after that, wanted to continue working over there. And she got a job with the World Bank, where she worked for they have these consultants where you work for half a year. And she ended up being there from being the lowest paid in her class to, on a per day basis, being the highest paid in her class. And she just was so driven by what she wants. She's now heading to the London School of Economics to do a master's program on a fully funded Commonwealth scholarship.
Wow.
So you're seeing also people sometimes go on to study further and do stuff. Then we have Himanshu, who is an engineer. He studied ceramic sciences, whatever that is here. And he, when COVID happened, the government reached out to us saying, can you give us people to help us in the COVID war room? And he put his hand up. His family was horrified. Everyone was horrified. Like, COVID's happening and you're supposed to stay away from people. He said, no, I want to work in the government and I'm going to go over there. And it's now been 4 years and he is still working with the government. He was involved in the COVID war room, and he is now with the National Health Mission. Continue to work. It's a fellowship program, part of the International Innovation Co at Chicago. And so he's been working over there, working on health policy matters all along. And then we've got a current student, for example, Prakyat, Mathur, who spent a few years preparing for the UPSC examination and didn't get through, and he joined us, and he's going to be working with one of the consulting firms starting in July. And he's at the moment doing an internship with an industrial company where he's just pitched a business idea to them, what they will do here. He calls me up and says, Louis, I've got to make this presentation to 3 managers, and I'm not sure, this is what I'm planning to do, etc. He's just so full of life here. And in fact, it's interesting. So I was on campus one day, and we were launching the mission to the moon, and it was going to land at a particular time. And he said, Louis, we have a class at that time. Can you instead change your class and let's actually the whole class watch the lunar landing? And I said, sure. I said, I'll give you another, let's make it more interesting. One of my classmates from school used to be the dean of the physical research laboratory in Ahmedabad. I'll ask him to do a session with us before the class and tell you more about that mission. And so that's so it's just initiatives like that which make you interesting. So you see people, someone's working for the government, someone's working for an NGO which is working with the government, someone's working in the consulting area, in the private sector, for policies, etc. Then you have people also working with corporates. Today you're seeing that there's a much larger need, despite whatever all being said in the government is more involved in our lives. The government is there as an enforcer of law, as a customer, as a supplier, as a competitor, as a sort of partner because they take a share of your profits and taxes, etc. So they're all over the place. How do you interact with them? So we run a program for companies called Understanding Government, for example. And therefore, companies also are building up large public affairs teams. In the past, it was all about, just schmoozing with people in the government. Now it's about how do you prepare policy papers, how do you work, on improving the collective sort of growth of the company as well as helping your business. So companies also are looking to recruit people over here. So it's a mix of.
So what is the average package which students usually get after graduating from?
I think on average, the salary range is between 7 lakhs and 20 lakhs.
Okay.
It depends again on the years of experience and the relevant experience here. So we have people who have no work experience, and then we have some people who have 10 plus years of experience. So that's the sort of range that people are out over there.
Do you think that public policy jobs are underpaid in India, and it should match the private sector which is there?
Clearly. In fact, one of the challenges the profession has, and that's something which we're working on at ISPP, is how do people understand the value proposition of a public affairs professional? So, there are a lot of professions which are underpaid, starting off with teachers here, but that's a separate point. Okay, so one of the Tata Group approached us couple of years ago to run a program for them to talk about, where the theme was really that every CXO, part of their KRA is the ability to deal with the government. How do we teach that? How do we get them to understand that? And that's something which is therefore important for us. And that's what we are looking to develop over there. And so clearly public policy professionals need to get paid more because they're playing a very important role. So, in fact, the other day we partnered with an organization called PAFI, the Public Affairs Forum of India, and we were talking about how do you measure success, and so one of the guys was saying that his MD was sitting with him and saying, how do I evaluate your performance? And he said, did we have any scandal that came out in the papers in the year about this company? He says, no, that's success. So therefore it's various ways. So we're working with them about how can we look at improving the value proposition of what a public affairs person does.
If you learned something new from this video, do share it with your friends and subscribe to this channel so that we can bring you the best content possible. Also, if you want to watch this entire episode, click on the link in the description box and you can go to Kushal Lodha YouTube channel and watch the entire podcast episode. Thank you so much for watching this and have an amazing day.